We're back out in the shop. I've been trying to get ready. Got a lot of rides going on. We've had a lot of tractor prep going on. I was just down in West Virginia, Canvas, West Virginia, for the LCQ that Creepy Crawler put on at Good Evening Ranch Off-Road Park. Place is awesome. Go there. I think we got another ride there in November. If you're into tractors or whatever, man, that's a good place. Before that, I had a huge trip to Vermont. We were up there. We hammered on tractors for, I think, almost like 4 days, 3 different places. It was abuse. I mean, it was blatant abuse. But man, what a good time. Such a good tractor ride. With that tractor ride, towards the end, we had some issues. So I rode Charlie horse all 3 days. Abused it. I mean, abused it. The videos are coming, and we got to do some maintenance, unfortunately. So let's first start off with, we got Ghost. Okay, I'm gonna race Ghost in the TTC. Ghost is a hydro. Okay, I'll be the first one to run a hydro in the TTC. She's set up 520 swept, tree kickers, 27-inch coyotes on the back. I got a Magnum 18 in it. Put a nice quiet exhaust on it because that's kind of where I wanted to go with this thing. Not loud, annoying, just kind of secret weapon type stuff. So we'll see how it does. The Charlie horse. The Charlie horse is a little worse for wear. So while we were out in Vermont, I mean, I got stuff to clean up. It's full of mud. I mean, it's nuts. So we got, I mean, guards are bent. This thing, I don't know if you can see that, is tacoed right up. So I gotta hammer that out. She's bent pretty good. Got a big crease right there. I'm gonna try to pound that out. Maybe put a support on the bottom because that's in line with my skid plate. So I got it all apart there. There's parts, pieces. So the bottom line is the trans, which is sitting there on the bench. I heard a loud bang, and then oil started pouring out of it. So what ended up happening is what's happened to me in the past is I get to hammering on these things so much, the bolt gear starts to want to twist inside these hubs. And as it twists, it comes against these 4. I've replaced them grade 8 bolts with locking nuts. So what I gather is happening, and Creepy Crawler and I have been talking about this, I think this bolt gear is trying to turn in here, and as it does, I think it's stretching these bolts. And it's stretching them to the point where now the bolt gear can twist inside these hubs enough to eventually shear one off. So that's the head of the bolt that goes in there. So then it falls out and drops down into the pan, and there's not a lot of room between the back of the case and the bottom of the trans case. So if this thing gets sucked up into here, it'll blow the back out, which I've done before in that case right there. Okay, I was lucky enough I had another case, so I took that case half off a new case, and that is what's in the trans right now, and then used the old half for the other one. So in this instance, this bolt went underneath. It's all sorts of bad. So it went underneath and it blew the whole corner of the back out. Big mar right there. It got under there a couple times. Got over here, so it blew that out. I was like, okay, no problem. I have this half from the previous transmission. I'll just put all the guts in it because I've modified my shift for it, whatever. Well, and then I would use this half. This is still a good half, I thought. Then I get to closer inspection, start cleaning it up. I don't know if you guys can see that. She is cracked all the way to the bottom of that boss. So it cracked the whole bottom of the trans case here too. So now we got a situation. So now both trans halves are cracked, garbage. So now I can't use the other half that's down there. So here's what we're gonna do. I gotta yank out, luckily I got my spare sitting under there. So we're gonna yank that spare out, start getting it drained, and pull it apart, start getting the mods going to it, you know, gotta weld it. I may be able to use those gears, and we'll see. The other thing with this is I'm hammering on it so much. Get this turn. I mean, the bolt gear's in good shape, luckily, is that the axles themselves, I don't know if you can tell. Let me get a key. So one of these keys you can see is so freaking oblong wore out because it's been going sideways in there. So I'm just wearing the hell out of this until it just, I mean, it's cracking the axle, it's mushrooming it over, but they are normally tight. Matter of fact, I have another axle that I can show you that's got a good side compared to it. Okay. So you can see the difference. This is a good one, nice and sharp. Key would fit in there super tight. This is even a good key, and it's just, I mean, it's a mess. So that's on both ends. So I've got a solution, I think, to try to fix some of that. The plan is, I think, when I get the other trans, is I'm going to cut a keyway, which I talked to Creeper Crawler about this. He's done this in the past. I'm going to cut a keyway for a 1/4-inch key that will basically cover the whole distance of the inside of the hub versus just that little spot. And I bet that'll at least last a lot longer, and I'll put a 3-inch piece of key in there, both ends. It'll be a tedious process cutting that with a grinder, but it is what it is. Grinder and some files to get it snug. I'll take my time. So that's one mod we're going to do. The other mod is I got to figure out how to keep from stretching these bolts. And I think the solution is, Creeper Crawler and I have been talking about this. I'm going to try to put some extra bolts into these holes. I'm going to pull this apart and look in and see if there's clearance through. Even if I can take this and offset this hole and put the same size bolt in there. So now I'm double the bolting, squeezing this in. And I'm also going to clean these up super, super, super good. And in between the hub and the bull gear, I'm going to JB weld it. And when we're going to mash these together, and we're going to let that harden up. We're thinking that if I ever got to pull it apart, I've never had to pull one of these apart because of some internal. If we ever got to pull it apart, you can heat it enough to melt the JB out of it. And if not, it'll last as long as I need it to last, I guess. And we'll go from there. But that's where we're headed. I'm going to pull that other trans out. We got broken parts. This has got to get cleaned up. I got a couple mods I got to do, quick little things. Drill some holes. I gotta drill some holes or something in this because it's really packing up. Or cut some slots in it, something, so the mud will drop down. And I gotta fix that cover. That thing's folded right up. So that's where we're headed. I hope this stuff works because I'm getting sick of blowing up trans. Now, this transmission has been in for probably a full year of abuse. So I can't really complain. I think at some point, without some major modifications, I think we're going to end up getting to a point where we're just about hitting the limits of these transmissions for the amount of power. So I got a 22 horse in the 22 horsepower Kohler Command V-twin in it, and it's a screamer. I was going to go bigger. I don't think I'm going to anymore. I think with a few motor mods, I could get some more, but trying to stuff a bigger motor, more horsepower, we're asking for trouble. So hopefully these extra mods will keep this transmission together a little longer. I have another tractor up back that I can pull it. I'll have another spare trans. It's the name of the game. If you're going to ride hard, we're not talking, you can't be taking out a Craftsman LT and expect to do this. You're going to be folding them right up. You got to get yourself a good unit. And even with these heavy duty trans and stuff like that, we're still having issues finding the weak points. But hopefully we can get the weak points covered, and then it'll be on to probably the next thing, which is shattering bull gears or twisting axles off. I don't know. But I'm not going to put any more power to the Charlie horse right now. I think I'm good. I like the way it rides. It's fast enough for me. Guys, we're getting into 1,000 cc's and better, and I just think it's for the amount of breakage to longevity ratio, I don't think it's worth it any more than what I got. So for now, I'm going to stick with the 22. I have a 23 on the floor. They're essentially the same motor as my spare, and then we're going to go from there. So I'll try to video some of it once we get into the mods. I'm not going to video draining the trans and all that stuff. So we've all seen that. I'm not going to video pulling it apart. I'm not going to video welding it. There's tons of videos out on that stuff. When I start getting into the extra stuff, we'll start popping the camera on and looking at that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, I may have just like crazy lucked out. So I'm pulling this trans apart, okay, to get ready to weld it and all that. And I was talking about key wing because the Charlie horse's axles were all messed up, because that is the woodruff that came out of the Charlie horse. This is the size of the one that I just took out. They're huge. I mean, huge. So there's no slotting I got to do. I think they're going to be plenty strong enough. So it's crazy. So then I was talking about, let's see if this one has it. On a previous one, we were talking about trying to drill these out, right? These little holes to try to slip another bolt, to have 8 bolts holding it, just to squeeze this tighter in hopes that this bull gear doesn't move. Well, I pull this transmission apart, and it's got these holes through it for lubricating the inner gears. It has all 4 all the way around, and a stock bolt almost fits through. Almost. So what I'm going to do is inside here, the bull gear's got your step there. It just barely, so I am going to just dust the bull gear just so it keys in there a little bit, just like a half moon, just a touch. Do I need to? I don't know. If not, I can always just file this out. Maybe I shouldn't cut the bull gear. Maybe I should just file that out. Anything's got to help squeeze this thing together. And then I think I'm going to JB weld in between the hubs and the bull gear. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I got to clean it all up. But man, I'm pretty excited about that. Huge, huge keys. Huge. The unfortunate thing is I don't know what machine this came out of, because I bought it as just a loose transmission. So I'm pretty excited. I wish I knew what it came out of, unless it's a later model and they started upgrading some things or noticed some things are going wrong. Maybe that's the case. But anyway, pretty excited about that. Gonna start cleaning this thing up, get ready to weld that thing, dust them up for more bolts. Man, this is gonna work out. All right, here's what we got. So last time we were talking about these, they go all the way through. So I've cleaned these out a little bit, all 4 of them. The only unfortunate thing is, I don't know, you probably can't see that. Let's see if we can get it. Is that they're not exactly lined up across, so you have to clean some out. So the plan is, I got all the regular bolts, is I'm also going to put these bolted through. Now I have washers. Okay. Nuts on the back side with a washer all the way around. So that'll give me 8 bolts. It's some ungodly, unbelievable amount of clamping force. So with that, when we pull this apart, okay, so I got this all welded, lined up. Now, so I have these all welded. Now I had to clean the, I got a really deep weld in there, deep. But I had to clean these up so that these bolts will bypass through there. You don't have a ton of room, but if you get a nice deep penetrating weld, I could have welded in here and here too, but I didn't. I think this is gonna be fine. So they have to bypass that. So right now they do. I can't mix all these up. So they're like that. Okay, so it's locked right now. What I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna clean up these flanges, degrease them as best I can. Same thing with this bull gear. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some JB and I'm gonna squirt it on here, both sides, and I'm gonna smash this thing together and let that squeeze in there and hopefully get a little bit of the stress from this wanting to move. I think we're solving the problem between all the bolts and that. So that's going to be the plan. I got to clean this up. A little bit of brake clean and then some alcohol. We'll wipe it down real good, JB it, and we'll put this thing together. All right. So you got the JB in there just as a binder. Now we got 8 bolts. I keep shearing them off. Of course, 5/16 was in that last rear end. 3/8 are in this rear end. It's just strange, but I don't know. It's got to help some way. Now we wait, let it cure. That's it.